Show, Ending the Stigma Together. This program is part of my campaign for us to normalize a conversation around mental health challenges, serious mental illness, and all the areas and opportunities that lie inside of this conversation. We must, I believe it, we must end this stigma together. We do it as a team, we do it as a unit, we show love and compassion, and I get to be on this journey alongside you all as I meet with guests and talk about different topics that are related to mental health. And today, my friend, JSL, Jennifer Shapiro Lee, be very serious on this show today. It's a very serious show.
All right, you make it hard to be serious, but yes.
All right, fine.
You are fun.
I want you to tell us, I mean, we know each other for many, many years, and I love hanging out with you. You've told me some serious parts of your life. I've told you serious parts of my life. I think those are the dialogues. Not that everybody needs to be in everybody's business, right, but I've shared with you over the years, you know, I see a therapist twice a week. I think it's important for people to know that. Not because they should know that I see a therapist twice a week, but I think it's important for them to know that there should be no stigma. There should be nothing around talking to somebody. Now, yes, there's a difference between serious mental illness and those of us who have other different mental challenges, and I think we need to just open up that dialogue across the board to end the stigma together. I want to hear your journey. I know some of it, but I want to hear your journey after college, what you studied in college, the work you were doing, and really what put you on the path to doing the work you're doing today.
Yeah, and I 100% agree with what you said about how it's really important to just be open about these things and open this conversation, right? 1 in 4 people have a mental health condition. This is something we really need to be speaking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll tell you about, so my journey, I always knew I wanted to be, so I run a therapy practice, and I always knew that I wanted to be a therapist. It was kind of, everyone came to me with things, whether I was that person that could get along with any type of, anyone really, you know, and I always appreciate people's stories. I love hearing about like where people come from and their stories, and then, but I always also was interested in fashion. I always thought fashion was kind of fun and things like that. So I ended up knowing I was kind of meant to be a therapist. It was just like my intuition and my gut feeling told me that.
Yeah.
But I went on after college to go into my other passion, which was the fashion industry.
Let me ask you about fashion really quick.
Yeah, go for it.
Is fashionably late actually a thing? Because my daughter keeps telling me it's okay to show up late because we're fashionably late. That's just a joke. But do you think that's, it's not a joke that she said that, but do you think that's a thing, or should we just show up when we're supposed to be there?
I mean, you probably should show up when you're supposed to, I would think, but
I'm just being silly. I'm just being silly.
But you're always very fashionable.
I try, well, I do the best I can. I'm a Maxxinista. Not so much a fashionista, I'm a Maxxinista. I shop at TJ Maxx.
Oh, I like that. I was wondering what a Maxxinista. Okay, that was a new term I had.
Yeah. Oh, you didn't know that?
No, I did not know that.
You must not be a Maxxinista then. Shout out to TJ Maxx, everybody.
I like TJ Maxx.
I love TJ Maxx. Don't go there looking for something specific.
Okay.
All right, but be open-minded, and you'll find really cool stuff at a good price.
That's what happens when I go there.
Yeah,
it's the random thing.
And funny, we have these mugs here. I can't leave TJ Maxx without buying a new mug.
Oh,
you don't know about the mugs?
No, and I gave mugs a lot for the holidays this year. Like I gave a couple mugs to people that said, you know, grateful or feeling blessed, and I didn't know TJ Maxx had that.
Very cool. In fact, what we should do is we should probably just do a live. You and me go shopping at TJ Maxx for coffee mugs one time, and I
love that. Okay.
I was over in your neck of the woods actually at the TJ Maxx by you, right? Not the one by where I live, and I've never seen this mug before, but it actually says on it, "I'd rather be at TJ Maxx." And I had it in my hand, but my kids were in crumble cookie next door, so I was like, I can't.
My kids go there all the time.
You know what I'm talking about. So I was like, one kid had to use the bathroom in the TJ Maxx, 2 were in the crumble cookie, 1 was at home, 4. So I was like, I can't buy this mug because I got to get the kids in the crumble cookie, and I haven't been able to find this mug. So I'm looking for, I'd rather be at TJ Maxx coffee mug, if anybody knows. Can we get back to I don't know where you're going with this conversation, Jennifer. Let's get back to it. Fashionably late, not a thing, show up on time. Coffee mugs, $4.95 at TJ Maxx.
Good to know.
Back to ending the stigma on mental health.
Yeah.
You got to stay focused, Jennifer.
Me? I don't know.
So you're studying fashion, but you always knew people came to you and wanted to talk to you, and you were one of those people that was always listening.
Yeah. So after college, I did some internships in the fashion industry in college. Actually, out really cool like experiences out in London and LA and things like that.
Yeah.
And then moved to New York City and worked in the garment district.
Nice.
Did sales and merchandising.
Were you are you a creative, or where did you fall into the fashion?
So I was in sales and merchandising.
Yeah.
So what we would make clothes for different stores, such as a lot of like junior type of stores,
Sure.
like Wet Seal, Forever 21, places like that.
Uh-huh.
And we would make the clothes and we would label it with our stuff or their brands and things like that. And I traveled. I had a team. I grew a business.
That's
and,
awesome.
It was fun. Yeah.
Where did you like to go the most? Where did you like to travel to?
Well, one time they actually sent me to London for 2 days just to go shopping.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Wow.
They were like, pick out things that you think are cool and bring it back to the U.S.
And that was it?
Yeah, that was my role. I was like,
Now, did you go to TJ Maxx while you were there?
No, I did not.
See, because you could have asked me.
I don't know if they have TJ Maxx there.
And I don't think that's where they wanted you to be a buyer. I don't think that's exactly what you're supposed to be doing.
Well,
Not everybody.
if I was doing mugs, maybe.
Yeah. See, we're having fun on this show. I like it. So you're in London. First of all, I know I stayed at the Ritz in London.
Wow, that's amazing.
When I worked for ADP, and we stayed at the Ritz, and I remember because I did not get married there. Excuse me, I got engaged there.
Oh,
so
that's
like
nice.
I
I didn't know
carried the
that.
ring. I wasn't wearing these beads at
You
the time.
talked about Tommy Day.
Yeah. So we went over there, and we were there for President's Club, staying at the Ritz. And I had carried the ring, and I was so worried going through security, because I was like, they're gonna go like, what do you have on, the whole thing, and I was like, all right, what do you? So they didn't, and we got engaged and we're married. Now we got 4 kids. So that's that story.
nice.
That's how that story goes. Yeah.
Oh, I like that.
So you're in London now, and you're buying 2 days just to shop.
Yeah, just to shop. Like
That's
went out to
that's pretty
eat, went
cool.
shopping. It was me and one designer. It was pretty awesome.
That sounds like fun. Yeah.
So yeah, I was out in California basically every month for work, traveling, and I love that. California's one of my favorite.
Is it really?
Yeah. So.
But you like another part of out west too. There's somewhere.
Oh, Arizona.
Yeah.
My favorite place is Sedona,
It's
Arizona.
beautiful. I've been there, and it's great. And you got the whole what do they call it? Not the portals, but you
The
got
vortexes?
the vortexes, dude.
Yeah, I
Oh my
love like
God.
the energy
No
and
doubt.
the feel of Sedona. Sedona's my spot.
Yeah, I love it out there.
Yeah,
it's
that's
fun. I
where-
took a drive. I was in Scottsdale, and I drove up to Sedona to meet with some friends. And wow, what is this chapel?
Yeah.
You see that chapel?
I totally know what you're talking about.
It's like built into the mountains, the red
Yeah.
rocks. Unbelievable.
Yeah, it's amazing how it just turns, right? You're driving into Sedona and all of a sudden the roads turn to all these red and orange.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that place. So you did a bunch of traveling, and then, but something drew you back to this work, to the work around
Yeah.
being a psychotherapist and mental health.
Yeah, it's interesting you bring in Sedona because Sedona, it has to do with my family. It's, what I'll tell you happened, but Sedona was actually my family's spot, like our place growing up that we
wow.
went to every year. It was where my parents were going to retire to and things like that. So it's very special to me.
Sure.
But so I applied to grad school to be a therapist, even though I had this great job in the fashion industry.
Yeah.
I didn't go. I decided, I got in and I was like, I'm not going to go. Why would I was in my 20s. I
Yeah,
had this
and
great
plus you were
job
loving what you were
traveling.
doing, yeah.
Yeah, it was lucrative. It was fun.
You go on to travel, you got an expense account on
Yeah.
somebody else's dime. That's
Yeah.
pretty good.
Yeah,
Nice.
it was a good deal. I was living a good life.
Yeah.
And then so I decided not to go, even though I knew it was what I was meant to do. And I experienced a life-changing event that happened in 2004, where unfortunately my father passed away to suicide. So I had never seen, in retrospect now, being a therapist, I could think of a few things, but how maybe it would show that he was depressed. But honestly, I can tell you I've never saw my father depressed growing up. He was the CEO of a hospital. He worked till the day he passed. He had tons of, everyone loved my dad. He was just a kind soul. And I did not experience my father as being depressed.
Mm-hmm.
So it was shocking.
Of course.
It kind of just threw off my whole course of my life. And I almost identify with 2 lives. It's almost like the before and after.
Before and after.
Yeah. So it completely shifted everything for me. I found out after my father passed some different pieces that basically, I found out that he went to, it's really sad, and talk about ending the stigma. My father went to an outside community, I found out after he passed, for medication for anxiety and depression, because he didn't want anyone to know in our community that he was on that because of the stigma, because he was the CEO of the hospital there.
So, first of all, I knew about some of that story, and my condolences, obviously, on the loss of your dad. And that's this society that we live in, that a man who is experiencing some challenges can't seek this because there's a stigma attached because he's high ranking in the business world and all that stuff, and he needed the support, and he had to go outside to get the support.
Yeah, I mean, it's really sad when you think
sad.
about
Yeah.
that, you know, and just that he's in the medical system, right? In
Right.
the medical system, the doctors, the nurse, everyone knew who he was. So, I mean, this is, and you think of like that number, 1 in 4 people have a mental health condition. Like, if you go and break your arm, you can go to get it fixed. If you have a mental health condition, there's treatment for it. And to think that people are suffering in silence is just really sad.
That's what this show is. That's what this campaign is. It's to stop that, because I mean, that I go to that arm break-in, or I fall down the stairs and I end up in the urgent care, I end up in the emergency department. There's no stigma attached.
Right,
You know,
exactly.
it's not. We're hurting.
Right.
Something's not right. We need support. We need compassion.
Yeah, and think of how many times you're at a party, and I'm like, what, 1 in 4 people have stuff. All of us deal with stress at points in our life. Like, if you think you're in a party in a room of 50 people, you're talking about 1 in 4 people that have stuff, and you can't see it. It's because
No.
it's like something you can't see. So, I mean, it really, like, that opening that conversation is super important.
Yeah.
So what happened with my father passing, it just was a game changer in my life, obviously.
And that was it. Made a decision that you're going in a different direction.
Well, it took 3 years, so I kind of just went back to that. Oh, this is an interesting point, actually. I've talked about this story, actually, on media and things before, but something I've not talked about till right now, actually, in the media is, speaking of stigma, I went back to my job in the fashion industry. I grew up in upstate New York, so I traveled home for a few weeks after that happened, and I went back. And do you know that I'm a therapist now? I'm going to own up to this. When I went back, I told people that my father had a heart attack. I went back to my job and I told people that my father had a heart attack because I couldn't understand and I couldn't handle it myself. So I didn't understand how they could handle it or they would understand. So I suffered for years in that place where I didn't really tell people even what I went through.
Because you had shame and embarrassment and didn't want to tell that story?
Yeah, it wasn't because I have any stigma around mental health. It was my own maybe guilt of like not knowing or shame or just my misunderstanding. Like, I couldn't understand how he would do that, so how could anyone else understand? And I didn't want to take it. I wanted people to, I don't know, I was trying to grapple around like what happened.
Sure.
So it was part.
Well, so you didn't need extra questions either. It sounds like part of it. You didn't need them asking, well, what happened?
Right.
Because just heart attack, end the discussion, we're sorry, and then they're not going to dive any deeper.
Yeah, but it took me years of doing my own work and my own therapy then to really be able, now I can talk about it anywhere, but it took, a while. And again, it wasn't because of the stigma, it was just more like, just going through that. It's so complicated, so many emotions and so many different things that come with that. But, now I think it's so important to talk about it, especially, what I do for a living. It's beyond important. It saves lives actually to talk about it. Yeah. So 3 years later, I went back to grad school and I quit my job, and I was on an upward trajectory to have a really big career, and I just gave it all up and went back to grad school, and I went for social work. So, I worked in different hospitals and clinics and group practices, and eventually opened my own business, and grew from myself as a therapist to a team, and it's kind of just had a journey in a bunch of different places of what we've done.
What are your thoughts first of all, thank you for your candor with that. I should have said that first, but what are your thoughts as it relates to corporate? Because I know a large part of your practice currently and going into the future will be in the corporate space.
Yeah.
I find, what I do in the employee benefits business, we're often talking with employer groups as their employees say, what about my mental health services? When can I see a mental health provider as it relates to my benefits? There's so many conversations now around mental health first aid, and I was just in a meeting recently with a friend of mine who'll be on the show soon, Jeff McQueen from Mental Health Association, Nassau County.
Okay.
They have a program there around certifying folks in mental health first aid. So in my experience, companies and employers are more open to having this dialogue. We haven't ended the stigma yet, for sure, but it's become more of a thing where we can check in on people and we can do that. So from your perspective as somebody who provides services to companies and businesses, what does that look like for you? What's that experience?
Yeah, COVID did help normalize that. What happened was I had my therapy practice, and then during COVID, I got a lot of calls to do speaking, whether it be, radio, TV, podcasts, things like that. And from there, I got calls from companies. And companies were working at that point from a very reactive place. And they were saying, everyone's suffering, we don't know what's going on, it's COVID, come in. And that kind of brought me back to my previous fashion business roots where, I know how to work in a corporate job and company. So I ended up developing a series of modules, a bunch of programs for companies through that. So things such as like stress management or how to deal with burnout or work-life balance. And I ended up doing these programs in companies. And it's interesting because, there are some people who are skeptical, right? You come in the room and aren't sure they want it, need it. And those sometimes are the people that email you afterwards and are like asking you questions and things. But
well, isn't that the thing? The bravado, like, what's this about, right?
Right.
Yeah, and then they're really crying inside and they really need help, right?
Yeah, exactly. And companies are recognizing more of a need, and the research shows that people actually stay at a job more over feeling appreciated and cared about than they do compensation.
Let's stay there a second. Let's let that sit. People stay at a job longer when they feel recognized and cared for over compensation.
Yes.
So what tell me more about that.
I mean, it's just all the research is backing that up. And especially like these newer generations, like the younger generations are coming in, they're actually, I did the stats when I did a presentation recently. I think it was 95% of the newer generations coming in are almost like it's a requirement for them to have mental health type of services and culture and things like that.
Meaning that they're questioning the employer to make sure, what do you provide for mental health?
Exactly.
Where's your wellness room? Where's the Zen room? Right?
Like they're seeing a need for it now.
Right on. How soon do we get the yoga teacher in here? Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, they want a better work-life balance.
Why
and
not?
That's
great.
Right? So, and the research shows that companies who offer these programs have less absenteeism, happier employees, better well-being.
We're on the right track. I really see it. We are on the right track. We haven't solved the whole equation yet, but just the sheer fact that these young people realize, I got to take care of me. I got to feel good. And you're going to get, Mr. or Mrs. Employer, you're going to get more productivity out of me if I'm being my best self. Like that's not just words when people say that. Like that's real stuff.
It's real stuff. It all blends together sometimes. Like personally, what we're going through into the workplace, like it's really important to take care of our well-being.
Yeah.
If employers don't have employees that are healthy and well, what do they have really?
100%. Yeah. But I think, years ago, 30, 40, 50, 60 years ago, people would just put themselves through the gauntlet and run,
100%.
I don't want to sound like rude, but they would just work their whole life away, grind it out, and especially I think it relates to, not the stereotype, but I think men more so, or just you figure it out, right? Unfortunately, I see a lot of stuff on social media where my husband took his life, my brother took his life.
Yeah.
He was the happiest guy at the party. He would write maybe similar story you were telling earlier, and it's like, men, I think it's more difficult. I don't know why the Cure's song is coming into my head, Boys Don't Cry, but that's this,
So
like, toughen up, walk it off, toughen up, so have you seen that in like your own experience?
Yeah, all the time,
Yeah.
actually, like especially in, men, it's hard for them to maybe come to therapy. Exactly what you're saying, kind of from a young age taught like don't feel or express your emotions.
Right.
And there is a higher percentage number in this, the male age group, and it's because it's not being spoken about as much. And I do believe that, using my father as an example, had he been able to speak about that, things could have, or felt like he could, maybe things would be different.
Maybe they would, maybe.
And who knows? But just it really is important, right, to be able to.
Where I guess women aren't told the same thing, where you can't talk about your emotions, right? And men are, but I think younger people listen. This is what we're trying to say here: is you should talk about this stuff. You need to open up, boy, girl, man, woman, whatever. You should be able to talk about how you feel, and you should be able to get with a specialist who's in this work. It's critically important. Let's talk about some of the deliverables that you have in a corporate environment, because you and I have talked about this and came up with ideas, and I think there's strategies where I can help connect you to some of our clients of mine, people who are not my clients, that would benefit from the services. So let's talk a little bit about like the modules and the education and stuff you do.
Yeah, I mean, we would do things on Zoom or in person, whatever, the company prefers. And, I have over 20 different series that we've done. We have interactive exercises, handouts that are really helpful for people, such as like, let's figure out where you're at with your stress and, stress scale. And then from there, what are a bunch of coping techniques you can use to work through things, or I have a self-care inventory. So we do pre and post digital surveys where we go into and we assess the needs of the company and the employees and figure out where they feel they get the most benefit personally, professionally, from what type of programs. And from there we decide what we want to, what they want to bring in. For example, is it more important to focus on stress management or work-life balance, or, so usually we end up doing a series of different things. And it can be done different ways. It can be a Wednesday lunch type of thing. It could, it could be a retreat, a half-day workshop just for appreciation for employees. So, there's different options, but really just to help the well-being of everyone.
Yeah. And even that we talked about a little bit, but I think that could be measured in the connection that they have to their employer. And I don't mean the employer as an individual, but to the company. They feel more like a company cares about me. The company is really passionate about making sure I am well in all the versions or definitions of well.
Yeah, I was with one company and we did, every Wednesday, and then I went in on a deeper dive on a monthly and really just kind of worked with them more in depth and really helped build the team environment. And, it was like from the first session, what they were really opening up about, to later on, it was
night and day, right?
Yeah,
night and day. Well, because all of a sudden, all that stuff was here or here, and they needed to come out, and then they feel more comfortable. And, that's just the dynamic of people too. Like if you work in a small team or a larger team, oh, that's bothering you too? No kidding, you're having that challenge at home, or your son or daughter is having substance abuse issues, or you're dealing with this, or the sandwich generation is the one that's always the toughest. I'm in that. That's our generation now. Little or young kids and parents who might have health issues. It's stressful, man. Life's tough. Life's tough.
So tough. And what you said is so important. Really, it's about everyone knowing they're not alone.
Yes.
And we're all going through something, right? I mean, and it's interesting because obviously when you meet somebody, you don't have to tell them like every aspect about yourself.
Right.
But at the same time, it's the most important things that we actually tend to not talk about that make us who we are.
Yeah, so when I hear you say that, I think it's when you learn these things about people, you create more connection.
100%.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, and the resilience that can come out of people's lives. That's why I love the work I do, because I see such resilience. I see people heal. I've seen people completely change their circumstance. So every day, like that is a part of my career that I will always, that I just love so much.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had people really transform and change their lives, and it's really possible.
It's really possible. So if you're listening out there, gang, and you feel like it's not possible, it is. And if you're having a tough time today, it can be improved. You just reach out. And on the other side of that, gang, reach out to people. If you're feeling great, reach out to people and check in on them. Because
100%.
I may have told you this story, and I feel like I've told this story only maybe a handful of times. But I was going to school in the city. I was going to Baruch many, many years ago. I graduated from Chaminade here on the island, went to Nassau Community College, and then was going to Baruch. And I used to drive to 179th Street in Jamaica and take the F train in. And I remember being like really low. And I had like eye contact with this little kid on the train, and she smiled at me. I'm 47 years old. That was, I don't know, 27 years ago or something like that. And I remember that. And I remember vividly it changed the trajectory of that day for me. And it was a bad day. And I felt better. And it was nothing. The little girl just smiled. She smiled, and that's the impact, though, that we can have on each other as people. And that's the impact and how we can change somebody's day or week or year. So it's important to check in.
I love that story so much. Yeah, it's like
I can't believe I just told that story. I didn't even think I would.
Kindness really matters.
Yeah, man, that's it. It's super important.
And to
it's
remember
easy.
you don't know what someone's going through.
And it's not difficult to be kind.
No.
It's not. You don't have to do like, it doesn't have to be big fanfare. Just checking in. Through your lens, Jennifer Shapiro Lee. I like to say the whole name. Through your lens, How do we go about ending the stigma together?
Really just keeping up with what you're doing right now and being everyone, like openness with these conversations, vulnerability, discussing these things, like keep normalizing that, like it's a normal, like health problems are, normal part of life, so are mental health problems, and there's so much treatment and ways this can be, worked through, and that I've seen people in really hard spots, like the worst of it, and I've seen like them never think it's going to change, and it does, and it can, and hope is always possible, and things can feel permanent, but really can be temporary. So it's like, just don't make a permanent decision in a temporary time, and just to know that, just to keep these conversations going, to know that there's always help, that, there's therapy, there's clinics, there's resources out there. You can go online, there's numbers you can call that are 988 is the mental health number. You can call anytime. There's a bunch of hotlines that are open all the time where you can either text now too and call. So there's always ways to get help.
Yeah, there's always ways. That's it. There are. And with the internet, if you type in, I need mental health services, right, you're going to come up with things. NAMI, we were talking with another friend of mine, NAMI, National Association on Mental Illness. There's so many nonprofit organizations here on Long Island and across the country that people can plug into. This is incredibly important work.
So important.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for doing this. Thank you. I really am grateful that I have created relationships in my life with people like you who are on the front lines of this work, because I don't know the answers on how we end the stigma. I truly don't. This isn't a show that like, we're going to do a full season and it's going to be 112 episodes. That's a long season. We're going to do all these episodes and at the end, here's the punchline. I don't know how to do this.
I think every little bit counts.
Yeah.
Right?
That's what it is. We're going to learn together.
Like, kind of like how you mentioned that girl on the train, and just that one
Changed
act
my
of
life.
kindness changed your life.
Yeah,
If we
really did.
all have these conversations, open it up, we all have acts of kindness, or just realize that people are going through stuff, and just a little more compassion or vulnerability, like all these things help.
It does. It does. I say this, hug people, check in on people, reach out to people. Smile goes a million miles, man. It really does. I think I just made that up. Smile goes a million miles. It really can. The ripple effect's incredible.
Exactly.
You can change the world. I can change the world. You all can change the world. How do they reach out to you if they want to connect with you and learn more about JSL Mental Health Wellness?
Sure. So either by email, it's jennifer@jslwellness.com, or my website, jslwellness.com. My work cell, I'll give you that too. It's 917-533-1725. And I'm also on all different social platforms where we give tips for, mental health. So my JSL Mental Health Wellness.
So they follow
JSL
you.
Wellness.
JSL Wellness on like Instagram and
Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, things
Got it.
like that. Yeah.
Thank you for being my friend. Sounds like the Golden Girls, but thank you for being my friend. I appreciate you. I really
appreciate
cherish our connection, our relationship. Thanks for being here for me.
Thank you for having me here
You
today, and
are
I
welcome.
feel the exact same way about you.
Right back at you. Awesome. This is it, gang. This is what we're doing here. It's called Ending the Stigma Together. Sometimes we're going to get emotional. It's going to get real on the show. We're changing the world. I called it a journey because that's what it is. It's a journey. It's a campaign. Check in if you want to learn more. EndingTheStigma.us. And as I tell you all the time, this is another In Focus production. Make it a great day. Hug somebody, please. Bye.